Before getting started with today's session, it's better to have an idea about the meaning of these unfamiliar words used in the story which we are going to deal with. So, here are the difficult words used in the story which we are going to deal with today. The first one is snip. What do you mean by snip? To cut with short, sharp actions as with scissors. Then we have flushed. Flushed means red in the face because of embarrassment. Then we have pony, a small horse. Then mane, longer hair growth on back of neck of an animal. Then we have peep, meaning a quiet sound. Then spoony means, which means feebly sentimental. Then feeble, which means deficient in physical strength. So you have to note one more thing, that while taking these words and their meanings into your notebook, you have to write down the unfamiliar words and their meanings which are given in your textbook. Okay. A very good morning to my dear students. Once again, welcome back to 7th grade English class. In the last class, we had already started the story Maggie Cuts Her Hair, written by George Eliot. We also had a discussion on the characters in the story. Among the characters discussed in the last class, I think Mrs. Gluck got a negative shade. Yeah, we had already came to know that she was a ruling character or an authoritarian character who always used to control other people's life. It was clearly evident in the incident that we discussed in the last class when we just started the story. Yeah, when Mrs. and Mr. Gluck paid a visit to Maggie's home, right from the time they arrived, Aunt Glegg started finding fault with everything she came across. She found fault with the young children's hospitality and with the long hair of Maggie, and asked her to cut it in an indirect way. So it was at this point we stopped in the last class. Now let us find what really happens to Maggie, whether she cuts her hair or not. Okay, here I am going to read the next portion. So please take page number 25 and read along with me. No, no, said Mr. Tulliver. The child's healthy enough. There is nothing ails her. But it would be as well if Bessie would have the child's hair cut so as it would lie smooth. When Aunt Gluck made that particular comment that if she was in her place, she would have cut it short as it would affect the health. Then Mr. Tulliver defended her with his viewpoint. He said that no, 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 no. The child was healthy enough. There was nothing to worry about the child's health. And he added that if it would be well if his wife Mrs. Tulliver would have cut the child's hair, that it would lie very smooth. So now here I am going to read the next portion. Listen. Maggie, said Mrs. Tulliver, beckoning Maggie to her and whispering in her ear, go and get your hair brushed. Do, for shame. I told you not to come in without going to Martha first. You know I did. See how different people reacted to the same situation in different ways. Here, when Aunt Glegg made such a discouraging or distracting comment about Maggie, soon Mrs. Tulliver got shocked and told quietly to Maggie that go and get her hair brushed, and reminded her about Mrs. Tulliver's instruction that not to come in without going to Martha first. My dear child, I had already told it to you. Remember it. Then why did you come without going to Martha first? So in that way, so in the last class we already came to know that Mrs. Tulliver actually wanted her children, to be accepted by everyone outside their family. So that is why when others made a bad or discouraging comment about them, she got much concerned about that. Okay, that is what actually here happened. Tom, come out with me, whispered Maggie, pulling his sleeve as she passed him. Suddenly, Maggie prompted Tom to come with her as she passed him. Then, listen, Tom followed Maggie upstairs into her mother's room and saw her go at once to a drawer from which she took out a large pair of scissors. What are they for, Maggie? Said Tom, feeling his curiosity awakened. Then Maggie brought Tom into their mother's room, and as they went in, she suddenly took out a large pair of scissors from the drawer. At that time, Tom developed a curiosity as he was totally unaware of her plan. So that is why, Tom asked, Maggie, what are they for? Okay, then listen. Maggie answered by seizing her front locks and cutting them straight across the middle of her forehead. When Tom asked Maggie what were the scissors for, Maggie answered it with a sudden action. What did Maggie do? Suddenly, then, she seized the front locks. What do you mean by locks? Length of hair. She tightly held her length of hair which fell across her forehead and started cutting them. Okay. Oh, my buttons, Maggie, you will catch it, exclaimed Tom. You would better not cut any more of. Tom was shocked to see this. Tom was shocked. Oh my God, Maggie, don't do like that. You would be in trouble, so it would be better to stop it. So no doubt you would be in trouble, so it would be better to stop it. Snip went the great scissors again while Tom was speaking, and he couldn't help feeling it was rather good fun. Maggie would look so cool. What do you mean by snip? Snip, it means to cut with short, sharp actions as with scissors. So here it means that Maggie was continuing what she had been doing till then. She didn't listen to Tom's request. What do you mean by queer? Queer means, odd. That means Maggie would look so queer. That means Maggie would look so unusual. That means Maggie was very rough. Maggie was actually continuing what she had been doing till then. That means she didn't listen to Tom's request. Here, Tom, cut it behind for me, said Maggie, excited by her own daring and anxious to finish the deed. Here, Maggie urged Tom to cut the hair behind her where her arms wouldn't reach. So she was that much courageous and worried to finish it. Okay, now listen, I am going to read the next part. Never mind, make haste, said Maggie, giving a little stamp with her foot. Her cheeks were quite flushed. Do it fast, Tom. Giving a little stamp with her foot. What do you mean by that? See, for example, if we actually wanted others to do something for us, we reminded them with some gestures. Such kind of a gesture is used here. Touching the floor with one's foot and making sounds. That is what here it is written as giving a little stamp with her foot. So her cheeks were quite flushed. That means her cheeks were quite embarrassed. That means Maggie was actually urging Tom to complete it as early as possible. Make it fast. Do it fast. Okay, now listen. The black logs were so thick, nothing could be more tempting to a lad who had already tasted the forbidden pleasure of cutting the pony's mane. The black logs were so thick, and it is said that nothing could be more tempting to a boy. Lad means boy. To a boy who had already cut the hair around the neck of a small horse which was forbidden. Okay, so a pony means a small horse, and mane means the hair around the neck. Okay, so here it is said that nothing could be more tempting to a boy who had already cut the hair around the neck of a small horse which was forbidden. Okay, you will catch it, you know, said Tom, nodding his head and hesitating a little as he took the scissors. Okay, first, when Maggie urged Tom to cut her hair, first he hesitated to take the scissor and remarked that Maggie would be in trouble. Okay, the logs fell heavily on the floor, and Maggie stood cropped in a jagged, uneven manner, but with a sense of clearness and freedom, as if she had emerged from a wood into the open plain. Okay, so what do you mean by cropped? Yeah, stood cropped, the meaning is given here, stood with cut hair. Then what do you mean by jagged? Jagged means with rough, sharp points sticking out. Okay, now listen. As Tom cut the hair, it fell heavily on the floor, and she stood with cut hair in a rough manner, but though one could see an underlying clearness and freedom on her face, as if she had emerged from a place where there was no freedom at all. That is what here it is written, that if she had emerged from a wood into the open plain. That means here wood suggests a place where there is no freedom like that of a forest area, and open plain, as the word indicates, a place where there is plenty of freedom. Okay, so it is meant here that one could see an underlying clearness and freedom on her face, as if she had emerged from a place where there was no freedom. Okay, now listen. Oh Maggie, said Tom, jumping round her and slapping his knees as he laughed. Oh my buttons, what a queer thing you look. Look at yourself in the glass. Then after cutting the hair, Tom was embarrassed at the new change Maggie was then, and urged her to look at the mirror to get noticed by herself. Then listen. Maggie felt an unexpected pang. Pang means pain. She didn't want her hair to look pretty. That was out of the question. She only wanted people to think her a clever little girl and not to find fault with her. But now when Tom began to laugh at her and said she looked like an idiot, the affair had quite a new aspect. She looked in the glass, and still Tom laughed and clapped his hands. Maggie's cheeks began to pale and her lips to tremble a little. Actually, Maggie cut her hair. For what purpose? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she did not want to be a laughing stock among others. Or she wanted people to think herself as a clever girl. That is what she decided to cut her hair. But when Tom laughed at her, the affair had gained quite a new aspect or a new meaning. Suddenly she looked in the glass and became pale and started trembling a little. Yeah, the outcome was completely different from that of Maggie actually dreamt. Okay. Oh Maggie, you will have to go down to dinner directly, said Tom. Oh my, don't laugh at me, Tom, said Maggie in a passionate tone, with an outburst of angry tears, stamping and giving him a push. Then Tom reminded that, Maggie, remember, you will have to go down to dinner directly. Then everyone will take notice on you. Hearing this, Maggie replied, "Oh my God." Maggie suddenly got tensed and she begged Tom not to tease her. Okay. "Now then, Spitfire," said Tom. "What did you cut it off for then? I shall go down. I can smell the dinner going in." "Then why did you cut the hair?" Tom asked in an angry manner. Anyway, Tom said that he could smell the dinner going in from kitchen. So Tom remarked so and left to the kitchen. Now listen. He hurried downstairs and left poor Maggie to that bitter sense of the irrevocable, which was almost an everyday experience of her small soul. She could see clearly enough now the thing was done, that it was very foolish, and that she should have to hear and think more about her hair than ever. Then Tom went down, leaving Maggie alone. Maggie was in an irrevocable situation, means a situation from where she couldn't escape or she couldn't change from. And the writer added that it was not a new experience to Maggie. Yeah, it was her everyday experience. What does it mean? She was neglected many times, even in her family too. It was the first time she was thinking so deeply on her hair, as she considered her deed or action as a foolish and unthoughtful thing. Okay, then listen. "Maggie, you little silly," said Tom, peeping into the room 10 minutes after. "Why don't you come and have your dinner? There is a lot of goodies and mother says you are to come." "What are you crying for, you little spoony?" Then Tom came back and asked Maggie why she was not coming for the dinner, and informed her that there were so many good dishes and mother was actually waiting for Maggie. And Tom addressed her as Spoony. That means, yeah, a sentimental one or a silly one. Okay. Oh, it was dreadful. Tom was so hard and unconcerned. If he had been crying on the floor, Maggie would have cried too. And there was the dinner so nice, she was so hungry, it was very bitter. It is said that Tom was so cruel and unconcerned like any other brother. The reason is that if Maggie was in his position, she would have partaken his sorrows. But Tom was not like that. Moreover, she felt hungry but not having the courage to go to kitchen and face everyone. So she mentioned the situation as dreadful. Or she mentioned the situation as a bitter one. But Tom was not altogether hard. He went and put his head near her and said in a lower, comforting tone, "Won't you come then, Maggie?" Here it is called Maxie. Maxie, yeah, something which we call somebody when we felt too much affection. So that means Tom was not that much a cruel person. Tom, yeah, was affectionate. "Won't you come then, Maxie? Shall I bring you a bit of pudding when I've had mine, and a custard and things?" But Tom was not that much hard and cruel, because on the next moment he came to her and offered her a bit of pudding and a custard and other things, knowing that she was hungry. In that way, she proved himself as a tolerable one. Okay, yes, said Maggie, beginning to feel life a little more tolerable. So at that point, Maggie felt a life turning to be a little more tolerable. Then listen. Slowly she rose from amongst her scattered logs and slowly she made her way downstairs. Then she stood leaning with one shoulder against the frame of the dining parlour door, peeping in when it was ajar. She slipped in and went towards the empty chair. But she had no sooner sat down than she repented and wished herself back again. So in that way, she rose from among the logs and without making any noise went down to the kitchen. She had no sooner sat down and she wished herself back again. Okay. Now listen, here I am going to read the next part. Please do listen and read with me. Mrs. Tulliver gave a little scream as she saw her and felt such a turn that she dropped the large gravy spoon into the dish with the most serious results to the tablecloth. When her mom took notice of her, she was very much angry. She was very much surprised. She was very much shocked. So she threw a large gravy spoon into the dish, doing serious results to the tablecloth. Yeah, she was that much angry because she never expected this, especially on the part of Maggie. Then listen. Mrs. Tulliver's scream made all eyes turn towards the same point as her own. Maggie's cheeks and ears began to burn, while Uncle Glegg, a kind-looking, white-haired old gentleman, said, "Hey Dave, what little jewels is this?" "Why, I don't know her. Is it some little jewel you have picked up in the road, Kezia?" Yes, suddenly she became the point of attraction when her mom did so. So when her mom made a loud voice as a note of exaggeration, she turned as the point of attraction. Maggie became pale and silent at this point. Uncle Glegg managed the situation in a simple manner. He asked a particular question, a very interesting and a funny question. Was it a new little girl, Kezia? Yeah, was it a new little girl picked up in the road, Kezia? So in that way he managed the situation. He lessened the depth of the situation with a funny question. "Why, she is gone and cut her hair herself," said Mr. Tulliver in an undertone to Mr. Dean, laughing with much enjoyment. "Why she did so?" asked Mr. Tulliver to Mr. Dean in an undertone of laughing and enjoyment. Okay. Why, little miss, you have made yourself look very funny," said Uncle Pullet. Then Uncle Pullet said that, "Why did you do it, dear little girl? You made yourself a funny creature. Or you yourself made a funny stock. She is a naughty child, as will break her mother's heart," said Mrs. Tulliver with tears in her eyes. So when everyone commented like this, Mrs. Tulliver became very much gloomy, and Mrs. Tulliver said that she was a naughty one and did everything to break her mother's heart. She said that she was like this. She would always do something to break her mother's heart. Okay. Now listen, here I am going to read the next part. Maggie seemed to be listening to a chorus of reproach and insult. Her feeble power of defiance left her in an instant. Her heart swelled, and getting up from her chair, she ran to her father, hid her face on his shoulder and burst out into loud sobbing. So the meaning of all those difficult words used in that particular paragraph are given there. So let us go to the discussion of the paragraph in detail. What is actually the meaning conveyed there? Yeah, Maggie was completely disappointed, because when everyone who were around her was actually making negative comments. So when she came across such negative comments, she was completely disappointed, and even her power of refusal to obey someone had gone. At present she couldn't do anything, because that much she was moved, or that much she was influenced by the negative comments she had received from the people around her. Suddenly she ran to her father and hid means hid her face and started crying. So she was completely fed up, she was completely gloomy. So she actually wanted to cry loud in order to burst out her emotions, in order to burst out her varying emotions. Okay, so in order to burst out her emotions, she started crying after going to her father's side. Okay, now listen. Come, my wench. My wench means my girl, said her father soothingly, putting his arm around her. Never mind, you was I the right to cut it off if it plagued you. Give over crying, father, I will take you apart. Delicious words of tenderness. So look at the beautiful expression used there. You have to underline it. Delicious words of tenderness. So when the girl child was in dire need of affection, when the girl child was in dire need of understanding, yeah, she got it from her father's side. That is what it is written here as delicious words of tenderness. Actually the girl wanted tenderness, and she got that delicious words of tenderness from her father. Okay. Then her father said, come on, my child, never mind what others had spoken about you. If it trouble you, don't look at anyone's opinion. Yeah, if I was you, I would cut it off if it really troubled you. So in that way, the father actually motivated, or the father actually consoled her daughter by giving delicious words of tenderness. Okay. Now here I am going to read the next part. Listen. How your husband does spoil that child, Busy, said Mrs. Glegg in a loud aside to Mrs. Tulliver. It will be the ruin of her if you don't take care. Again, when her father actually consoled her, that really disturbed whom? That really disturbed Aunt Glegg. So Aunt Glegg cunningly intervened there, and she said, what did she say? Yeah, she said, yeah, how your husband does spoil that child, Busy, said Mrs. Glegg in a loud aside to Mrs. Tulliver. Yeah, it will be the ruin of her if you don't take care. What does it mean? Yeah, suddenly Aunt Glegg mentioned to Mrs. Tulliver that it was her husband actually spoiled your child. Look how he would have taken side of her even though she committed a wrong thing. So, see, even though the girl committed a wrong thing, yeah, your husband would have taken side of her. So in that way he was actually spoiling your child. So in that way Aunt Glegg found fault with Mr. Tulliver's stand on that particular issue. Okay. Now listen. Mrs. Tulliver's domestic sorrow seemed at this moment to have reached the point at which insensibility begins. She took no notice of her sister's remark, but threw back her cap strings and served the pudding with silent resignation. What does it mean? Yeah, at that time, Mrs. Tulliver's sorrows rose to its peak. She didn't utter a word, neither she took notice of her sister's words, nor she responded anything. Instead, she continued with what she had been doing with till then. She was actually doing something in the kitchen, so she actually continued with what she had been doing then. Now listen, here I am going to read the last paragraph. With the dessert there came escape for Maggie, for the children were told they might have their nuts in the summer house, since the day was so mild, and they played among the budding bushes of the garden. So what do you mean by dessert? Dessert is actually a sweet confection served as the last course of a meal. That means a food item served at the last course of a meal. Okay, so after that no one commented anything. Okay, so after the comment made by Aunt Glegg, no one commented anything, and they were served with the dessert, and that really helped as an escape for Maggie. So then everyone's attention turned to that. Since the day was gentle, they played in the garden. So as the day was gentle and silent, they played in the garden, and the story ended at this point. So this was actually the reaction of the whole family, all those characters in the family, over Maggie's foolish action that to cut off her hair. So I hope that you understood everything we discussed in the chapter, in the story. Anyway, I think it's a time to wind up. Anyway, if you have any doubt, all those doubts will be cleared in the Zoom interaction. Okay, so now we can wind up. Anyway, thank you. Have a nice day.